Deep down, Andrew Tate knows he is destined to spend years in prison. He made this clear in a recent episode of Tate Confidential, where he desperately tried to convince his viewers that jail isn't so bad, and life on the outside isn't so great, and even worse than jail. Have a listen to these sad, pathetic, historic levels of cope from Tate.
I would rather go to jail for 6 months a year, every single year for the rest of my life, and live my life than live a normal person's life. Yeah. Hot hands down. The normal person is more in jail than most people in jail. Think about this, right? You're in jail, let's say. You wake up, you're with your guys, you're with your cellmates, you're tired, you sleep, food comes, you get to train all day long, you eat your food, you go back to bed. If you're living a normal life, you're working in Starbucks. Alarm goes off, you better get up. Can't lay in. You're not with your friends, you're not living with your friends. You ain't got time to train. You're in Starbucks all day. You have no money because all your money's going on rent. You're more in jail than the motherfucker in jail. You may as well go to jail and just do push-ups with the guys. Most people's lives suck so much. They're better off in jail.
At least you lose a bit of weight.
Yeah, bro. At least you just train and laugh at the guys and the alarm goes. If you're tired, you sleep. You have a nap anytime you fucking want. Bro, jail's great. I'd rather go to jail 6 months a year and then 6 months wild than live a normal life.
Again, this is just desperate cope. It sounds like Tate is trying to convince himself more than his viewers that jail isn't so bad. Yet in 2023, when Tate spent 3 months in a detention centre, not a Romanian dungeon like he's claimed, he cried like a little girl. Not only did he cry, but when he spoke with Piers Morgan about it, he was too much of a cowardly pussy to admit he cried. With Tate now coping about how awesome it is to be in jail, it does seem like a good time to take a look back at this moment when he appeared on Piers Morgan's show and, out of nothing but crippling insecurity, was too scared to admit that he cried in jail.
But when you're on your own in that cell, what were you thinking? It's a long time to self-reflect, right?
It certainly is. And I think my number one concern when I was in jail, despite the fact that my situation was dire, were my concerns as a man and all the people I have to take care of, and my children and my family and the people I pay for and all the people who work for me. And truthfully, I wasn't worried about myself, I was worried about everybody else. And I think that's the true masculine frame.
Did you get emotional? Did you shed tears in your cell?
I'm an emotional man. I think men are hyper emotional. We just have to control it. I was extremely busy inside of my jail cell. I had lots of push-ups to do. I was very concerned about the people on the outside. I was trying my best to get out. It's difficult for me to answer the question because it was an interesting frame of mind. I knew that God was watching and I had to perform. It's very difficult for me to go through life saying I'm the top G, I'm this, I'm that, and speak about mental resilience and mental toughness, and then the second I'm thrown inside of a solitary confinement cell, cower out. I'm not that person. There's some other people who talk about mental toughness and want to give advice, and when bad things happen to them, they end up addicted to prescription drugs. I'm not a coward and I'm not a liar.
No, but it would be perfectly natural to be emotional in that scenario, and there's no shame in admitting that.
I was emotional. I missed people. I missed them, and I knew they missed me. So I felt a strong sense of missing.
But you cried.
There were tears that ran down my face, but I did not cry.
I mean, that's crying.
I would disagree.
Because you're worried about admitting that. You think it sounds
Absolutely
weak.
not. That's a perfectly fine scenario to cry in, but I think the act of crying is an act of desperation. To sit and to cry is an act in and of itself. To do push-ups, thinking of your children with tears running down your face, but you're concerned with finishing as many push-ups as possible within that day, I do not consider that crying. I consider that tears running down my face.
What a pathetic clown. The Tate brothers like to talk tough for their 12-year-old fans, but deep down they are clearly terrified of the prospect of spending decades in prison. There is of course the now multiple cases in Romania. They are being investigated federally in the US. And there is a case against them in the UK involving charges which include human trafficking and rape. There was an extradition approved in March 2024 from Romania to the UK for this case. This is to go into effect after the Romanian case, which means that if the case in Romania was hypothetically dropped, they would immediately be arrested, put in handcuffs, and transported to the UK to face these allegations. Where this all goes from here remains to be seen. I'm personally less confident in justice happening in Romania, ever since Romanian authorities caved to US pressure to allow the Tates to travel. For this reason, I've been supportive of the calls for the UK to request to make the extradition for their case immediate. One thing I can be sure of is if there are any updates in this circus, you will find them on this channel. To hear any news as it happens in the various criminal and civil cases of the Tate brothers, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you can also support by joining as a member or buying Gadget a coffee. The links are in the description.